Have you ever wondered what it would take to get thousands or even millions of minds working together like a single intelligent being? The internet connects us all, but connection by itself, it's just not enough. It feels like there's a huge piece of the puzzle missing.
And yeah, this quote just nails it. Simply connecting people is kind of like having all the parts of a computer laid out on a table. The potential is there, sure, but it can't actually do anything yet. And that's the big idea we're going to dig into. A collective intelligence, just like your computer, needs an operating system. It needs a basic set of rules that lets all the individual parts coordinate, trust each other, and actually work toward a common goal. So what does happen then? If you just connect a massive group of people without those ground rules, what do you really get? Well, it turns out it tends to break down in two really specific and kind of disastrous ways. First off, without what we'll call a trust protocol, any group can pretty quickly just turn into a mob. And it makes sense, right? How can you rely on any information when you can't check where it came from or if the person sharing it has any idea what they're talking about? It just becomes a mess of noise and bad info. A trust protocol is what turns that chaotic mob into a group you can actually count on. And second, even if you solve the trust problem, without an economic protocol, the whole thing is, well, it's just a hobby. And look, passion projects are great, but they usually burn out. To build something that lasts, you've got to reward people for the value they bring to the table. An economic protocol is what turns a fun side project into a system that can actually sustain itself. So the solution isn't to just hope for the best, it's to actually engineer this operating system. The idea here is that it's not going to just magically appear. It has to be built intentionally. And it's built on two core layers that perfectly solve the two big problems we just talked about. Okay, so let's start with layer one, the trust layer. Its entire job is to solve that mob problem and build a solid foundation of reliability. So at its heart, this protocol is just a clear set of rules for how we verify information and how contributors build up a good reputation. Think of it like an immune system for the group. It filters out the noise, the fakes, and the bad actors to protect the health of the entire collective. And this whole trust layer is built on two really simple but super powerful pillars. First, reputation. That's just a way to track a contributor's track record. Are they reliable? Are they an expert? And second, provenance. This is a fancy word for being able to trace any piece of information all the way back to its original source. So this isn't about blind faith. It's about trust you can actually verify.
But remember, trust is crucial, but it won't pay the bills. It's not enough to keep the engine running long term. And that brings us to the second, equally vital component, the economic layer. This is how you go from a group of volunteers to a dedicated, sustainable community. This protocol takes on that hobby problem directly. It's basically an incentive system that keeps the whole thing going by making sure the people who create real value get rewarded for it. It's all about aligning what's good for you, the individual, with what's good for the entire group. So how does it do that? Mostly through two key things. First, royalties. So you get rewarded when your work is used or when other people build on it. And second, ownership, which gives you a real stake in the success of the whole project. This makes contributing not just a passion, but something that's actually viable for the long haul.
Okay, so this is where it gets really amazing. When you combine these two layers, the trust layer and the economic layer, something truly remarkable happens. You're not just managing a crowd anymore, you're actually watching a fundamental transformation take place.
So you can see the path, right? You start with what we have now, which is basically just a chaotic collection of voices online, but then you install that operating system, you add both the trust and the economic layers, and you forge something completely new. You get a single, unified, and trustworthy intelligence. And that really is the heart of it all. This isn't just some minor upgrade. It is a massive, categorical shift. It's the difference between a crowded room where everyone is shouting over each other and a world-class orchestra where every instrument is playing in perfect harmony. Which really just leaves us with this one huge final question. If we could actually build this operating system for our collective minds, to solve the really big problems, to innovate, to create together, what challenges that seem impossible today might suddenly be within our reach?